Violence was an everyday thing. He grew up being senselessly beaten by a person who was supposed to be his father. To him, violence was like breathing, something natural, a familiar thing. He is in juvenile detention with a target drawn on his face, being held down by other inmates. He was about to become a human target. Besides the two guys holding him down, there was a third one who had a slingshot. Looking at the third guy, he asked if they couldn't just beat him up normally. He didn't think they needed to do that. Aiming with the improvised slingshot, the inmate asked if he didn't want to get hit and become a target for his amusement. That man was Kim Sung-ho, sentenced to 2 years. He said he thought the MC needed a lot of money. Kim also said he knew he was doing anything he could to make money up to that point. That, even in the cold, he shoveled snow, earning 301 for it. He shoveled as much as he could. He knew that he warmed their smelly shoes for 101. Kim also mentioned that for 201, he served as their dog for a day, being very realistic in playing the role of a dog. Kim was now willing to pay an incredible 501 to use him as a human target and hit him with the improvised slingshot. The MC would do it for 501. He just closed his eyes and, sweating, said he would accept being his target. Juvenile Detention Center, a facility for criminals under 18, the place where all the atrocious teenagers are. A place where violence and crime happen every day. Kim, letting go of the rubber band, said it would be funny if the coin got stuck on the other's forehead. Pulling the rubber band to hit his human target, it ends up snapping and misses the target. Kim and the other thugs still held the boy by the arms when they saw the 501 coin flying through the air between them. The coin bounced off several places until it lost speed, landing in the latrine of that prison cell. Kim asked the other thugs if they had any rubber bands, and one of them replied that rubber bands were rare around there. The leader of the inmates said that Cha Ju-young, the boy who did all kinds of work for money, was lucky not to get hit, and asked what he was doing, that he hadn't grabbed the coin. So the young man thanked the boss, thinking he was lucky even that day. Kim thought better of it. It would be too easy to let this go. So he ordered Cha Ju-young to get the coin out of the latrine with his mouth. The boy, standing there looking at the coin in the latrine, thought about the reason he needed the money, to decide if he would have the courage. Even the other inmates thought the situation was a bit much and warned the boy that someone had severe diarrhea in there the day before. But he didn't care, diving headfirst into the latrine. It was embarrassing and disgusting to see that boy with his head inside the latrine, picking up a 501 coin. He was splashing stinky water everywhere and had become an absolute legend. He sold his soul for 501. While the people around were disgusted by the scene, he had the coin between his teeth, thinking that with those 501, he had just made 50,000 won, not caring about the stench or the embarrassment. One of Kim's gang members tells him it's time for a break. Time passed quickly thanks to the entertainment they had. He tells Cha Ju-young to go out last since he stinks of excrement, and they laugh at the boy. The inmates commented that Cha Ju-young is an idiot. He ended up like this in just a month. He simply gave up on being human. These were the comments the gang made in the hallway. Remembering that Cha Ju-young was there, locked up for attempted murder, he was sentenced to 3 years in juvenile detention, but could get out early for good behavior. Kim says nothing beats money, and the inmates questioned why the guy was so obsessed with money. Maybe he owed someone. A prison guard announces, "Prisoner number 7199, you have a visitor." The MC asks who it was. The reason he was going through all those things to save money. He had an important reason for it. Seeing him, the girl was worried because his face looked thin, wanting to know what was happening to him there. Diyun was his childhood friend and asked if they weren't feeding him in prison or if he was getting beaten up there too. She calls him an idiot. She had already told him that the first impression is the one that stays. He should have at least poked someone's eye out. The MC asks seriously why she visits him so much. It's a waste of money. But she is the only one who visits. She even stood up from the chair she was sitting on and, looking furious at him, asked if he thought she looked like a beggar. Showing the jar with the coins he had sent her, she asked him to explain where he got that money. Even though she had no parents, she wouldn't accept that suspicious money, and he still asked why she was returning it. She says it's because of the promise they made, that they would live together in Seoul as soon as they graduated from high school. Continuing, she said she would take care of the money, so he just needed to take care of his body. Everything passed so quickly, and the prison system employee announced that visiting hours were over. Saying goodbye, she told him that all he had to do was think about getting released soon and getting out of there. She also asked him not to push himself too hard, and that was a promise, so she left. He remained there seated, saying goodbye to her, reflecting on what they had talked about. Now, he was thinking about the promise they had made. His thoughts went far, and he started seeing his memories of when they made those promises. Diyun was in the hospital, injured and with dirty clothes. The boy was apologizing for his father's behavior, who seems to be the reason she was in that state. His response takes the girl by surprise, making her push him against the wall, asking if he was kidding. That was not the time for him to worry about others. His father had been hospitalized because he threw a vase at his father, and if he didn't wake up, the young man would have trouble with the police. The MC says it's okay, considering the domestic abuse he had to endure. The punishment he would receive shouldn't be too severe. But during his trial, Cha Ju-young was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The MC was in shock when he received the sentence. He didn't expect to receive such a severe punishment. Diyun was there when the guards took him to the penitentiary where he would spend the next 3 years. She was very worried about him, asking him not to skip meals and that if anyone messed with him, he should tell her. She said that this was a promise they were making. While the MC said goodbye with a sad look, she stayed behind while he was taken away by the guards. Even in prison, causing problems could extend his sentence, but being a model prisoner could reduce it. Cha Ju-young reflected on the time he had to spend there, looking at a photo. He thought he could endure 3 years in that hell. At least he had a photo of him with Diyun as solace. One of the times he was looking at her photo, Kim appeared, who was there for being a pervert. When Cha Ju-young heard his voice and realized he had seen his picture with her, he quickly hid it. Kim asks if she was Cha Ju-young's girlfriend, but the MC says she was a friend, and the other thinks it was unrequited love. Reaching out to him, Kim wanted that photo, but the boy was unwilling to give it to him. Looking at the bully, the MC says that the photo wasn't his to ask for. Kim is impressed that Cha Ju-young refused, asking if he was really going to resist. Then the bully raises his hand to beat him up, but he suddenly stopped before hitting his target. A guard appeared, announcing that cell 36 would be receiving a new inmate. Kim even gave up on beating him, thinking he hadn't heard anything about a newcomer. The bully thought he owned the place. Inmate 3397 entered the cell under a shadow that prevented his face from being seen. The guard was pleading with him, saying, "Please, just don't cause any trouble. We'll be watching for now." One of Kim's gang members said he knew this guy. He had killed 7 delinquents from his school. Ma Jae-yum, who killed 7 people, was sentenced to 20 years, the harshest sentence from the juvenile court. Hearing this, all the other thugs in there kept an eye on the newcomer. Cha Ju-young was also shocked by the information, unable to believe the guy had done something so terrible. The inmates were somewhat apprehensive about what Ma Jae-yum had done and, until then, hadn't messed with him. Kim told his partners to stop being idiots, seeing that they were all scared of the newcomer. He questioned if it mattered if he had killed 7 people. All those in there had blood on their hands. Kim approached the newcomer, commenting on his fierce face. A face fitting for a killer. Kim made it clear he wasn't afraid of Ma Jae-yum and told the guy not to get too cocky around there. Ma Jae-yum ignored Kim and walked past him as if he were nothing, showing he wasn't afraid of him either. So he went all out against that arrogant newcomer who had turned his back on him. But before he could be hit by Kim's move, he spun and dodged in time to avoid getting punched by his opponent. In the prison cell, everyone became even more cowardly after seeing Ma Jae-yum's skills. Kim was furious. He didn't want to let it slide after being humiliated like that. But before he could do anything, Ma Jae-yum spun around, ready for a counterattack. Watching the fight, the MC noticed that the newcomer was different. Being a guy who had killed 7 people, he seemed to have something different about him. Suddenly, Kim managed to dodge the punch that was about to hit him and counterattacked with an elbow to Ma Jae-yum's face. Now, that newcomer was in real trouble. The MC was shocked. It didn't seem like the fight between the two was going to go this way. Kim was going to put an end to the courage and arrogance of that guy who dared to disobey him and embarrass him. He shouted that it didn't matter who the guy was. In that cell, he was below Kim. Everyone kept watching Kim beating mercilessly. The MC was sure that from the way the guy was, he wasn't a weakling. Ma Jae-yum was full of marks from the punches he had received from Kim. The other inmates in the cell could only watch the newcomer being beaten, and the MC wondered if he was really just a weakling. In the cell, everyone served Kim as he pleased, and the newcomer remained without making contact with the others. Kim ordered Ma Jae-yum to get him some water, but even after being beaten so much, the newcomer continued to refuse to follow the cell leader's orders. The MC couldn't stop wondering where Ma Jae-yum had learned to act that way. He kept getting beaten. While doing his chores, Cha Ju-young glanced at the newcomer, thinking that not even a dog was that clueless. Thanks to the newcomer, who refused to do chores, more work fell on the MC. When night finally arrived, everyone was required to lie down in silence to sleep, as per prison regulations. Cha Ju-young was lying on the mattress next to Ma Jae-yum's. He called out to the newcomer to see if he was awake. Seeing that he was, he asked if he was an idiot, and if it was that hard to please the boss a little. He told him not to act tough if he couldn't even fight, and just do what Kim said from tomorrow. But he was interrupted. Ma Jae-yum stared at him, asking how the MC could accept living so miserably, shocking Cha Ju-young, who must have thought the guy would just listen to his advice. The newcomer turned to the other side, and the MC became restless, as it seemed Ma Jae-yum was trying to advise him. He ended up reflecting, unable to sleep, about living miserably. The MC thought if he would live like this, remembering seeing Diyun on the ground and his father on the floor, he thought he would stay like this until the end, recalling when he fought back for everything his cruel father had done. Cha Ju-young would live like this until he could leave that place. On that day, it was very cold, and the girl was walking alone. Thinking that the MC had lost a lot of weight, she became worried, thinking he wasn't even eating properly. Maybe she should send him some food, considering that, due to his personality, he wouldn't talk about it. But he must be suffering a lot. Looking at the traffic light, she imagined that a lunchbox wasn't much, but he should like it. She was crossing the crosswalk with the green light, and since it was night, the place was pretty quiet. As she was crossing the crosswalk, almost reaching the other side of the street, a truck approached at high speed. Startled, the girl only saw a flash coming her way. When she turned to see, the truck was already in front of her, and there was no time left to react. That night, while Cha Ju-young slept, thinking his childhood friend was safe, Diyun's hand lay open on the ground. The lunchbox she was bringing for the MC was also scattered. Diyun remained on the ground, not moving, with all the things she was carrying scattered around her. When the morning arrived at the juvenile detention center, a guard approached Cha Ju-young, offering his condolences. The young man didn't understand, and the guard told him that the previous night, there had been an accident at the intersection in front of the prison. The news was so bad that the guard hesitated to tell Cha Ju-young, as it was a huge loss for someone so young. It seemed like his soul had left his eyes. The news was too shocking. She was everything he had. The only reason he went through everything he did up to that point, the reason for being there, everything had lost meaning. Cha Ju-young remained sitting still, processing the news he had received. He was simply frozen there. Even Ma Jae-am noticed something was wrong with him. Kim arrived, yelling that he hadn't cleaned the bathroom that day, no matter how much he shouted. The MC didn't react, so Kim went all out against him, furious that he hadn't been doing his tasks lately. The bully, very angry, asked what was going on with Cha Ju-young, why he was looking at his girlfriend's picture without saying anything. Someone mentioned that there had been an accident in front of the prison, and that girl was there, and Kim asked if it was serious. He mocked, asking if she was the girlfriend who used to visit, and why he lied, saying she was just a friend. And the jerk kept bothering Cha Ju-young, asking what the poor guy was going to do now that his girlfriend was dead. Realizing he wasn't being heard, Kim snatched the photo from Cha Ju-young's hands and said she was a waste for him. Kim continued and started an auction for the photo at the price of 500 won, a bargain. The inmates began to bid, with offers reaching up to 1,000 won. They asked if they would get the girl too, but someone said she was dead, and Kim shamelessly said he'd have a lot of fun with her. Kim and his cronies continued with their bizarre and unnecessary comments about the recently deceased. Cha Ju-young got up from the corner where he was while Kim and the others continued to spout nonsense. At that moment, the MC seemed like a totally different person. On the other side, Ma Jae-am was watching all the talk, without saying a single word. He was thinking about what he said to the MC the previous night, about continuing to live miserably. And Cha Ju-young's shocked face when he heard it, it seemed he had never thought that way before. He continued to reflect on that night. When the cell leader said he would keep the photo for later, a clenched fist appeared in front of him, landing a good punch in his face, well deserved. The punch the MC threw was so strong that it brought Kim down hard, revealing his true nature to everyone. Cha Ju-young remained completely silent after hitting the bully. It was shocking. No one in that cell expected to see such a scene, especially not from that boy who was bullied by everyone. The MC was still holding Kim's face, his eyes glowing with rage towards that man. Ma Jae-am observed the deadly look of someone who used to be just a slave in their hands. He also remembered that during their tasks together, Cha Ju-young started talking to him about his life before that place. His father was the right-hand man of a little-known gang leader. Since he was young, he suffered domestic violence daily. But what could he do? Even if it was terrible, he had to endure it because he was his father. Cha Ju-young also said there was a time when he couldn't hold back. Inmate 3397 turned restlessly, wanting to know why the MC had retaliated. And the MC said it was when his father messed with his best friend. Back in the present, with his face all bruised, Kim cursed at Cha Ju-young, shouting for his subordinates to grab the MC and finish him off. Cha Ju-young said that, at least while being beaten by his father, he learned one thing. He learned how to fight, which is why he started hitting everyone in front of him. Ma Jae-am didn't get involved in any of it. He just watched from a distance the reaction of everyone and a great commotion. In a short time, the room was filled with inmates lying beaten on the floor. One of them even told the MC he was wrong. Kim shouted at the MC that he'd give him money, knowing he needed it. With a demonic smile, the MC even said that money sounded good. Cha Ju-young continued beating the bully, saying money was good, but now he didn't need it anymore. Blood splattered on the photo of him and Diyun as he said his reason for leaving that place. Without stopping beating Kim, Ma Jae-am, who was watching, saw the boy's madness increasing by the second, saying that his reason for enduring all that. Grabbing Kim by the collar, he said that the reason for enduring everything no longer existed, and he continued hitting the other without mercy. Cha Ju-young's father told him to follow in his footsteps and become a gangster like him. That's what the old man always said. The boy could barely get up after the beating he took. His father would hit him and tell him to fight back. But even trying, He was just a boy and didn't have enough strength. His father didn't seem to care about that, repeating this violence every day. When he was younger, he couldn't even look his father in the eye. His father kept saying he had to become stronger, until the day he had that dragon tattoo engraved on his body. That's what his father kept saying. The place young Cha Ju-young was looking at, it was those damn dragon eyes, running furiously toward his father, back in the juvenile prison cell. The guards arrived, shouting to know what was happening. When one of the guards looked more closely, his expression darkened. Cha Ju-young was the only one standing, while Kim and his gang were all on the ground, unconscious, and the place was covered in blood. Even the guards couldn't believe it when they realized it was that boy, who had been an example, a model prisoner until then. Asked if he was the one who had done all that, the MC didn't deny it. With his hateful look, he admitted it was him. Like all inmates who commit offenses, he was sent to the disciplinary room, a kind of solitary confinement in the juvenile prison. He spent his days looking at Deun's photo, trying to believe what had happened, thinking it might not be real, remembering the good and funny moments he had spent with her, and how she made him happy. His few moments of joy in life were with her. She would get annoyed whenever she saw Cha Ju-young's face full of bruises from the beatings he constantly received from his father. She would say what kind of father hits his son the day before his first day of high school, thinking Cha Ju-young should do something about it. His father was abusive and also a very absent parent, not present at important moments in his son's life. And Deun was moved by this. Deun was bothered whenever she saw the boy's face full of bruises, knowing he had been beaten again by that father. She wanted to go to his house and talk to him about what she thought of it, but she had made a promise never to go to their house. He would tell her that if she broke the promise, she would have to call him Big Brother for the rest of her life, making her embarrassed and always changing her mind. She said he really knew how to put her down, especially being someone like her who didn't have a home. Deun's dream was that, after graduating high school, she would move to Seoul. She was Cha Ju-young's only friend and knew that if she left, he would be alone. Deun said she was tired of living in the damn orphanage and that suffocating neighborhood. Her dream was that when she got to Seoul, she would graduate from a decent university, get a job at a big company. Cha Ju-young would always hear her say that she wanted to drive a foreign car, carry luxury bags, and live in an apartment with a view of the Han River. He would even joke with her that she was very materialistic. She didn't care because she was. Those were her dreams. Since he didn't want to be alone when Deun left, they made a promise to go together and leave the orphanage behind. Deun made him promise that if he didn't, he would have to call her Big Sister for the rest of his life. People thought it was cute to see them together on the street and asked to take a picture of the couple. The protagonist explained that Deun was his friend, but they still took a picture of them, and that was the only photo Cha Ju-young had of the two of them. The prison corridors were hearing a pounding sound. It was the MC punching the wall. If he hadn't come to prison, Deun wouldn't have had to visit him. He spent many moments punching the walls of that room where he was separated from the others as punishment for what he had done. No matter how much he punched the walls, his anger, guilt, and all those bad feelings didn't go away. Everything in his life until then had been very difficult, and the only thing he cared about was Deun. He thought that if she hadn't met him, she might still be alive, that it was all his fault. The guard called out to him, saying he was sorry for the unfortunate situation the boy was going through. He said he could no longer turn a blind eye to all this, and that he hadn't even touched his meal spoon since yesterday. The guard asked Cha Ju-young to relax and eat, but he remained lying on the floor, crying and saying to himself that he was sorry, as if he was asking Deun for forgiveness. In the cafeteria, rumors were already spreading about what had happened in Kim's dormitory. Ma Jae-yum, who was very observant, was also aware of the rumors. He heard that the guy's name was Cha Ju-young, that he beat up everyone in the room and was sent to the punishment room. Kim, the dorm leader, had mocked his girlfriend, who had died in an accident in front of the prison, and he simply lost his mind. Hearing these rumors, he was with another guy at the next table. Staring at them, he stood up and walked towards them. He was pleased to hear there was a new dorm leader now, and suddenly he grabbed the head of one of the guys who was talking and slammed it into his plate. He asked what they were talking about without his consent and presence, pressing the guy's head with another plate, saying that he seemed to be having fun. With a strange look, like most people there, he said he would also like to join the conversation. Park Jong-chan, in prison for assault, still rubbing the guy's face on the meal plate, said he would like to meet this new leader. Park Jong-chan was the leader of those boys he was beating, and he asked if they would also like to rebel against him and take his leadership. They remained silent, while their dorm leader continued threatening and telling them to answer louder. They answered Park Jong-chan that they wouldn't want to take his leadership. Looking at Park Jong-chan, that juvenile delinquent told his leader he wouldn't want to have been in the conversation without him. Park Jong-chan was happy that he now knew the protagonist's name. He seemed to be plotting something. Ma Jae-yum always remained silent wherever he was, but he never stopped observing what was happening around him. 1 week later, in the lovely prison, the guard was explaining to the protagonist that the guy he had beaten up was still in the hospital, and that they would release him in a week. He just couldn't cause any more problems. Ma Jae-im was sitting in a corner when he saw Cha Ju-young returning to the dormitory, and he kept watching to see if the guys would cause any trouble. At first, everything seemed fine, with him standing inside the dormitory while all the other delinquents just watched him. The MC didn't seem like the same young man who once did everything for money. Ma Jae-in was thinking that Cha Ju-young had committed insubordination against the cell leader. It even crossed his mind that now, having done this, Kim's friends wouldn't leave him alone. As soon as the MC enters that place, one of the inmates insults him. One of them runs towards Cha Ju-young, but instead of trying to do something against the MC, they asked if they could do something for him, if he was okay. Ma Jae-im couldn't understand the situation. In that hostile place, the only thing that mattered was siding with the winner. Everyone around was asking if he wanted to rest after going through difficult times. Ma Jae-im remained neutral in that place, just observing the change in the inmate's behavior. He was taking notes in his notebook without saying a word, thinking that he had learned something recently. Ma Jae-im's notebook contained notes about everything happening around him. At school, his parents, appearance, grades, and many other factors are what matter. But they're in the juvenile detention center. Strength is the only thing that counts. Everyone was on a break in the yard, sunbathing, where most of the time the biggest conflicts take place. Ma Jae-im was in his corner, leaning against the fence, reading alone, when he was called by Cha Ju-young, who approached to ask a question. He wanted to know why he had done that, and Ma Jae-im asked what he was talking about. The new room leader recounts that day. The day Cha Ju-young was referring to was the day he tried to kill Kim, but he was stopped by Ma Jae-in, who grabbed him by the arm. Thanks to him, the MC was prevented from committing another crime. Cha Ju-young says this doesn't make sense coming from someone who killed 7 people. Why did he prevent him from completing his revenge? Ma Jae-im didn't like to touch on that subject. He was remembering that day, the blood that stained his slippers. In a classroom, a voice asked why he had done that. Ma Jae-in was the only one standing in that place, with several bodies around him. He himself was wondering why the hell. In prison, everyone has their demons, and Ma Jae-im was no exception. As soon as he begins to talk about why he did what he did, his much-anticipated speech was interrupted by the arrival of Park Jong-chan, asking if that was Cha Ju-young. With a smug look, the convict says he thought the MC would be bigger. How could someone like him have beaten Ki Sung-ho? Well, that guy was a weak piece of trash anyway. Park Jong-chan looked at the new leader of Dormitory 33 and could barely wait to start stirring up trouble. Furious, he asked Cha Ju-young why he did it, why he rebelled against the leader of his dormitory. Park asked if he was that desperate to take over as room leader. Cha Ju-young told him to leave and that he wasn't interested in any of that. Park found Cha Ju-young quite insolent for the way he spoke to him and felt he should put him in his place. He had to teach him a lesson. He wasn't going to let these things keep happening. Park Jong-chan, with a strange smile, looked Cha Ju-young up and down. He said that the MC had a very arrogant way of talking. Raising his foot, he told Cha Ju-young that what he hated most were bastards like him, who don't know their place, and he kicked the MC in the stomach. Park said that instead of Kim Sung-ho teaching, he was the one who was going to teach the MC his place. He was talking while holding Cha Ju-young's head with the other hand, saying that this is what happens when a dog dares to bite its owner. That's when a guard passed by, and Park pretended, immediately stopping what he was doing. The guard gave them a suspicious look but didn't say anything. Park Jong-chan said with a scared look that he had been caught by the guard. But then he said he was just joking since the guard walked by as if he hadn't seen anything. He asked if Cha Ju-young knew. As a cell leader, they could fight as much as they wanted under the pretext of maintaining order. That was the rule in these detention centers. So he should fight too. He said this as he raised his hand to punch Cha Ju-young. He was asking if the MC wasn't going to retaliate, like he did when he beat up the former cell leader. Park Jong-chan, calling Ma Jae-im a murderer, asked what was wrong with that guy, and he hit him again, making Cha Ju-young be thrown against the fence like a rag doll. Addressing the MC, he asked why he was acting like a stray dog since morning. Rolling up one of his shirt sleeves, he told Cha Ju-young that if he kept acting like this, there wouldn't be any fun in beating him up. Cha Ju-young, looking at Park's uncovered arm, he noticed a huge dragon tattoo, like the one that had terrified him since childhood. That damn tattoo brought him horrible memories, especially after he lost Dion, constantly being beaten by his father, and having to face that tattoo engraved on his body. Never looking into the eyes of his oppressive father, but always staring at those dragon eyes drawn on his chest. Park Jong-chan said that, judging by his face and rude tone, he didn't seem scared. Then he asked if it was because of that, and he ended by mentioning the truck accident, referring to Dion's death. raising his arm to hit again. Before Park Jang-chan's fist could touch his face, Cha Ju-young kicked him in the face. The blow was so strong that Park staggered backward. Cha Ju-young moved quickly and grabbed the bully's arm as if he wanted to tear it off. Stepping on his face, he pulled his arm with great force, as if he wanted to break it in half. Park Jang-chan called him a bastard, and Cha Ju-young fiercely demanded that he say it again. Park Jang-chan no longer had any idea what that deranged man was talking about or doing, but the MC kept stepping on his head and pulling his arms back, ordering him to repeat it. Park tried to threaten him, saying he should let go because once he got free, the MC would be dead, but it didn't matter. The only thing Cha Ju-young kept saying was, again, while he kept beating the scumbag lying on the ground, holding Park Jang-chan's arm. He seemed to be talking to the dragon tattoo engraved on the guy's arm. Park begged him to stop before his arm broke, but the MC kept squeezing his arm until it broke, never stopping saying again. Ma Jae-yum, who was watching from a distance, was startled by Park Jang-chan's scream of pain. After breaking Park Jang-chan's arm, Cha Ju-young kept saying, again, and again. Park was already unconscious, and the MC thought that ever since his childhood, the only direction his misdirected rage could go was in that direction. He kept hitting and telling the other to repeat, his anger directed solely at the dragon's eyes. People used to say that Cha Ju-young's father was a gangster, and that the son looked like someone who would bully others. They commented that the boy would turn out the same when he grew up. The MC thought that staying calm was what he did best. As soon as Cha Ju-young reached the gate of his house, he could hear cries for help. He quickly realized that the voice screaming in despair was familiar. In disbelief upon hearing the familiar voice, he entered the house, wanting to know what was happening. The man, standing in a room, called him son, while the young was lying on the floor. His father asked if that girl was his friend. Looking at the unconscious girl on the floor, Cha Ju-young screamed her name in desperation. The father said she had simply broken into the house and started making unnecessary comments, that he wouldn't let it slide if the father laid a hand on him again, that Cha Ju-young would be better off without his father. Deun had already said that she would go to his house and talk to his father, despite his protests. The father continued saying that he had given the girl a little scolding. Having to listen to his father say these things without any remorse made Cha Ju-young unable to endure it any longer, even thinking that he must stay calm, as he had always been good at it, even if his father had done something unforgivable this time. Cha Ju-young looked at the demon with his back turned to him, and could only think of ending that monstrous being's life. Slightly turning his head to look into his eyes, warned that if he heard that girl talk nonsense again. At that moment, flowers were thrown, landing on the floor in Cha Ju-young's rage. While the father said he would finish off the girl, that she would end up like her parents, the MC approached from behind. Cha Ju-young had picked up the flower vase that was on the table. Overcome with anger at seeing his best friend unconscious because of that man, Cha Ju-young showed no mercy to that man. This time he couldn't keep calm. At the hospital, it was explained that the man was alive but in a vegetative state. The doctor informed the son that his father's chances of waking up were minimal, almost zero. It would take a miracle for the man to wake up again. Cha Ju-young would have preferred him dead, but he said nothing to the doctor. Remembering that damned dragon tattoo engraved on that man's skin only filled him with hatred. Cha Ju-young was free from that suffering. It was almost certain that he would never wake up, and that was all he needed. The MC was sure that the suffering had now ended. All the other inmates in the yard formed a crowd around them. Some asked what had happened, and others commented that Cha Ju-young had just been released from solitary confinement and was already causing trouble again. Park Jang-chan was lying unconscious with a broken arm. On his rival's arm was a dragon tattoo, the symbol of a respected gang. The winner of that fight was standing, staring at his fallen opponent. After the commotion, it was announced to the inmates that exercise time was over and they should return to their rooms. The inmates began returning to their dorms, and there were rumors that Cha Ju-young had gone mad. There was a person looking out of a window, commenting that there was a lot of noise outside. That's what you expect from a place with many hot-blooded youths gathered, another commented. Anyway, he was glad to see his visitor healthy, as he was recently released from the hospital. Director Kwon Chan-suk informed the visitor with a smile that if there were any problems, he could let him know. Kwon Chan-suk took the opportunity to ask his visitor who he was there to meet. The man seemed pleased with the fight scene he had just seen. The dorm cells had been locked. The inmates confined in them, in dormitory 33, all remained silent and seated. All of Cha Ju-young's roommates were discreetly looking at him, waiting for some reaction. Ma Jae-yum was sitting next to the room leader, looking at him while taking his notes. He was always observing everything and jotting it down in his notebook. Ma Jae-yum wrote in his notebook that he thought he was sharing a cell with a total lunatic, until he was interrupted by one of the guards calling for inmate 7199, Cha Ju-young. The guard asked prisoner 7199 to come to him as he had a visitor. These words caught the leader off guard. Walking with the guard, they were in the corridor heading to the visiting room, both walking in silence. The prisoner, while walking, kept wondering who it could be, who would visit him. He had no one. His mother ran away when he was young, and his relatives avoided him. So who could be there to see him? The MC was distracted by these thoughts until he realized he was being led to the director's office. As the guard opened the door, he was shocked as to why he was there. Inside, a man was waiting for Cha Ji-young to enter. A voice said that it had been a long time since they last saw each other. Upon hearing the voice, the MC immediately recognized it and went into shock. When he entered, he realized what it was about. It was that man, the reason he was in that juvenile penitentiary. And now Cha Ji-young was seeing him there, and hearing his father say how good it was to see him so lively. The only thing he could think was how this was possible when the doctor assured him he would wake up only by a miracle. Cha Ji-young could not believe this was real. Cha Kang-ryong, protagonist's father, was alive and recovering, sitting in the director's office. It made no sense to him. His father was there, alive, right in front of him. He was the last person he expected to see again. Approaching the shocked MC, director Kwon Chang-suk placed one of his hands on his shoulder, saying that he must be very surprised to see his father in front of him. Continuing, the director said that his father had woken up in the hospital not long ago, and it was like a miracle. The director also told Cha Ji-young that this was a blessing, to have his father well. The MC only remembered the doctor saying he was sorry and that the chances of his father waking up again were almost zero. The boy was furious to see him. When the chances were minimal, how did he wake up? How was he still alive? Cha Gang-ryong, speaking to his son, said he could not believe it. The one who put him in that state, even though he was the right-hand man of an organization all his life. It wasn't one of his enemies, not even the police, but rather his own son, who had the opportunity to catch him off guard and put him in a coma. Cha Gang-ryong continued, saying that when he opened his eyes and found himself in a hospital, he was deeply saddened. He was bursting into tears as he said this. He said the tears represented how sad he was with his son. Cha Gang-ryong concluded that, as a father, he really wanted to see him. A guard handed him a handkerchief to wipe his tears. The man still said that he loved Cha Ji-young. Cha Gang-ryong, looking at his son, said that there would be nothing he, as his father, wouldn't do for him. He continued, saying that he had no choice but to kill her. At that moment, his son's eyes widened. Cha Gang-ryong narrated that the girl was caught completely by surprise, with the headlights of a truck coming at high speed toward her. With the impact, the lunch boxes she was carrying were thrown, scattered near the girl's body. Even after the accident, Daeun was still alive, despite being injured. Then Cha Gang-ryong appeared on the sidewalk near her. He said that she even asked him for help when she realized someone was approaching her. But he just watched her without saying anything or getting closer. Then he approached, making the girl realize in shock who he was. He stared at the dying girl on the ground, until he asked her, who was in shock, if she was seeing a ghost. He also said that he threw back at her the words she said when she visited them, asking if it wasn't better for the MC not to have a father like him. He told her that this was how much parents were willing to do for their children. Then he just watched the life leave the girl's body, reflecting that despite saying all that to her, that the last words she heard were his, saying that she wouldn't understand. After all, Daeun never had a family to begin with. Cha Gang-ryong revealed that he thought his son was just a pathetic idiot, but he knew how to keep quiet. That day was the first time Cha Gang-ryong saw his son react, and he knew that Daeun was the trigger for this. Cha Gang-ryong said that was why he killed his son's little friend, that he did what he did just for the sake of Cha Ji-young. In the juvenile prison room, the director realized this wasn't going well, shouting for Cha Ji-young to wait, but it was already too late. The MC was already lunging at his father, and the director ordered the guards to restrain him. The guards quickly restrained the boy using stun weapons. He starts receiving several electric shocks until he falls to the ground, while the three guards hold him down. The director, seeing the young man lying on the ground, breathes a sigh of relief because he managed to contain the situation. The father gets up with the aid of crutches, as he hasn't fully recovered from the damage yet, and says that if the MC wants revenge, there's only one way. His father says that some of his members are in this prison. He said that right now, they were just rookies who had just gotten their tattoos, but one day some of them would become pillars of the organization. He told his son to prove he was the best among them by taking control of this juvenile prison, and if the gang recognized him, someday he might be able to kill him. Facing the organization, the Celestial Dragon. With that, he could achieve what his father never managed in life, and that would make his father's life complete and fulfilled. After all this, he smiles like a sadist and starts to leave, telling the director to take care of him. The guards notice something is wrong, but when they try to say something's wrong, the director interrupts, asking what the hell is happening now. The protagonist has removed the shock cables with his own hand. As his father turns to see what he is doing, Cha Ji-young yells that he's going to kill him right now. The guards, upon seeing the scene, were stunned. The director, on the other hand, panicked, realizing the guards would be unable to subdue the young man in time. Cha Ji-young, meanwhile, charged toward his father, intent on striking him. He remembered everything his father had just said about having to take over a gang to kill him. He wasn't willing to listen to anything anymore and was ready to kill the man. But before he could touch his father, someone appeared and held him back, asking the MC for forgiveness for his rudeness, addressing him as young master. The person grabbed the MC's head, then he slammed it into the ground, showing he was far from weak. The guards, still watching everything, were increasingly impressed. Pressing the boy against the floor, the person who attacked him said it was his duty to serve his boss, meaning he was protecting Cha Ju-young's father. Despite his power, he noticed a strong resistance coming from the boy on the ground. He was impressed with MC's strength. He was holding on with just the strength of his legs. Cha Kang-ryong warned his son that he should take a look at where he was. Surrounded by henchmen, he told his son that he would never reach him. If he acted recklessly, he would only get in the way. According to his father, the only way to kill him was to take control of the prison. While he said this, Cha Ju-young trembled with rage on the floor, unable to move. Then the man said he would wait for the moment they would meet again, and he left with his henchmen. Alone in the corridor, the MC stood up, still trembling with hatred for that man and his own helplessness. Meanwhile, in the carpentry room, Ma Jian was calmly making a wooden stool. Then a supervisor appeared, saying he had already met his quota for the day and could rest now. The other inmates commented on his hammering skills, wondering if he had ever broken someone with it. One of them remarked that inmate 3397 didn't look like a killer at all, while another came over with tools. The inmates told him to put the box on a shelf, but he didn't seem to listen. Seeing Ma Jian there completely captured his attention. Suddenly, the sound of something falling caught the attention of inmate 3397. The tattooed guy had dropped the toolbox on the floor, probably on purpose, but he claimed it had slipped from his hands, paying close attention to a nail that fell from the box. With a lunatic look in his eyes, the blonde guy asked if that was really Ma Jian. The convict, Yoon Gunmin, revealed that they hadn't seen each other since elementary school. He said he had seen the news about his childhood friend on TV, asking if Ma Jian remembered him. With a calm expression, Ma Jian confirmed that he still remembered Gunmin. Gunmin moved closer, saying there was something he wanted to ask him. He was curious if inmate 3397 had really killed those people. He laughed, saying it was totally unexpected from someone like him. Annoyed by the guy, Ma Jian grabbed a piece of wood in case he needed to act. Gunmin continued, saying he was an exemplary student in elementary school. But cutting the conversation short, a supervisor appeared, ordering Gunmin back to his post. Without hesitation, the blonde guy cheerfully said goodbye to Ma Jian. There was definitely something wrong between the two. Only after Gunmin left did Ma Jian calm down a bit. He realized that, in his anger, he had squeezed a piece of wood without noticing there was a nail in it, injuring his hand. That night, the MC's cell was quiet. He sat alone in a corner, thinking about what his father had told him earlier. The only way to kill him was by taking control of the prison first, but he wasn't sure where to start. Then he noticed his cellmates complaining about being hungry and that the menu only had vegetables. They commented that it should be a crime to eat only that, and one of them said he would die happy if he could at least eat a pizza. Their comments made Cha Ju-young think about the desires of the people in that place. Then a guard approached the cell, and everyone fell silent, except for the MC, who walked up to the guard. His cellmates stared at him, wondering if he had gone crazy. Even the guard found it strange to be called by an inmate. But stranger still, the MC asked the guard if they delivered pizza. Now his cellmates were certain the guy wasn't well. With a serious look, the guard ordered inmate 7199 to leave the cell immediately. Soon after, one of the cellmates was in shock. He could hardly believe he was eating a delicious pizza in that place. One of them said it was so good he could cry. They thanked the MC for getting it. Even he wasn't sure he could. But he realized that since the director and the guards were under his father's influence, they treated him carefully, as he was that man's son. Thinking he needed to test the limits of what he could do in that place, seeing how easily the MC had gotten the pizza, the inmates whispered about his true identity. Maybe he came from a rich family or was the son of some politician. Ignoring them, the MC had decided that for his revenge, he would even use the fact that he was that man's son. But when the inmates mentioned Ma Jian, he paid attention. According to them, inmate 3397 had been acting stranger than usual and had even refused the pizza. They wondered what had happened to him, as he sat in a corner, saying nothing. Back in the carpentry room, the MC and Ma Jian worked at the same table, but both remained in complete silence. That was broken by a voice behind them. The blonde guy had returned, and with another voice, accidentally knocked over a box and a pile of nails onto Ma Jian. Before he could react, hundreds of nails were thrown at him. With a fake smile, Gunman said it was an accident. His hands were sweaty. At that moment, Ma Jian was boiling with rage, glaring at the blonde guy. He asked what Gunman was doing. Then the guys with the blonde guy commented that inmate 3397 wasn't like he had told them, because inmate 3397 was staring Gunman down, without showing fear. According to the big guy with him, Gunman's story was that Ma Jian was his subordinate, so he asked if it was also a lie that he was a famous delinquent in the neighborhood. But Gunman didn't backtrack, smiling and saying of course, it wasn't a lie. He explained that Ma Jian had flattered him since they were kids, and they had good memories together. Then he turned to 3397, asking if he still remembered those wonderful memories they had. To jog his memory, which Ma Jian probably wanted to forget, the blonde guy pushed his head onto the table, where there was an upward-facing nail. Seeing the nails tip, inmate 3397's memories flooded back. When they were still in elementary school, he was surrounded by nails, begging Gunman to stop. But the other smiled madly, asking what the problem was. He could barely hear him from outside. Ma Jian was trapped in a cupboard full of nails. No matter how much he begged to be let out of that horrible box, the blonde guy refused to take him out. With a smile plastered on his face, he said the fun was just beginning. He grabbed a nail and a hammer, telling the other to start counting. Inside, Ma Jian was in a panic, with no way out of that awful cupboard. After counting to 3, the blonde guy was about to hammer another nail into the cupboard. Back in the present, the inmate's legs were trembling as his childhood friend asked if he remembered the memories they had together. Gunman's gang started laughing, noticing that Ma Jian was shaking. To make things worse, Gunman grabbed a handful of nails in one hand, saying he couldn't believe someone like that had killed anyone. Gunman was about to punch him with the nails, but before he could, someone grabbed his hand, causing him to drop the nails. Gunman's henchmen were uneasy with the situation. Even Gunman was surprised, as he didn't expect that. Even the MC was serious at that moment. Ma Jian grabbed Gunman's arm, asking if he wanted him to show how he had killed someone. But despite doing that, he keeps trembling, just like the blonde who wasn't expecting it. Before anything more serious could happen, the supervisor reappears, ordering them back to work. Gunman, pulling his arm, told Ma Jian to take his hand off him, and his companions leave laughing, finding the whole situation very amusing. Unlike the blonde, who, before leaving the room, gives one last look at inmate 3397, thinking the guy is still just a jerk. In the cell, the inmates talk about Jesus and Buddha. One of them asks which one would win, and they discuss that one gave chocolate pie and the other a hamburger. Fueling the debate, they decide to settle it outside the cell. So, only Ma Jian and Cha Ji-young remain inside. Suddenly, the MC thanks his cellmate, who doesn't understand why he's being thanked. Then the MC explains that if he hadn't stopped him, he would have ended up staying there for another 10 years. And he says he has a reason to get out of that place. He shares that the person who killed his friend was his father. As far as Ma Jian remembers, the MC's father was in a vegetative state, but Ju-young says it's a long story. In any case, he believes that thanks to inmate 3397, he might be able to get out of there soon. The inmate stays silent for a moment. Then he says that the MC must be joking to say those things to someone who's going to be stuck there for 20 years. Ju-young tries to fix what he said and promises to repay the debt he owes him. Ma Jian just nods, and the two fall silent again. The next day, a key is handed to the inmate. According to the woodworking room supervisor, he had something urgent to take care of at home. So, he leaves the key with him and asks him to clean the room. Left alone in that place, Ma Jian notices a moth on the workbench. It triggers old memories of Gunman. When they were still children, the blonde showed him a butterfly. In fact, there were several of them preserved in a frame, and Gunman proudly displayed them. But for Ma Jian, who didn't like insects, they were all disgusting. He was his first friend, and despite not liking insects, Gunman kept showing them to him. At school, the other boys talked about how strange he was. Because he collected insects, they thought he was disgusting for that. One of them even asked if Gunman was going to eat the insects. Taking advantage of their numbers, the boys were about to force the blonde to eat them. Before they could do it, Ma Jian appeared, telling them to go back to their seats. As he was the class representative, the boys were wary of him. They apologized and left the room. Then the young boy went to check if his friend was okay. Despite being mistreated by the boys, Gunman cheerfully chatted and invited Ma Jian to his house later. Then a few more boys appeared, calling for him. As they insisted that Ma Jian play soccer with them, he eventually agreed, leaving the blonde behind, who noticed they were drifting apart. The following year, they ended up in different classrooms and saw even less of each other. In the hallways, Ma Jian heard rumors about his classmate. They talked about how he was being tormented by bullies and that he was getting beaten up. Upon hearing that the boys had taken Gunman to a storage room, the young man rushed over, thinking only of helping his friend. As soon as he arrived at the place, tired from running, he asked where his friend was, and the bullies teased him, not revealing where Gunman was. But suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind him. It was Gunman, saying he was right there, scaring Ma Jian. Not only that, the blonde pushed him into a cabinet. He was in shock since he thought his friend was being beaten by those bullies. Not understanding anything, he asked what was going on, but Gunman told him to shut up, forcing him inside the cabinet. Finally, he managed to stuff poor Ma Jian inside and lock the door. Behind him, the bullies mocked, saying the young man had finally caught a bug. It seemed that the blonde had to capture someone special if he wanted to join the group of those guys. Locked inside, Ma Jian screamed, trying to understand what was happening and why. But Gunmin just smiled, telling the terrified boy inside that when you catch a bug, you need to taxidermy it while it's still alive. Back to the present, Gunmin is saying that moths and butterflies are both insects, but only one is hated, comparing that to his old self and claiming that it was all Ma Jian's fault. Ma Jian asks for an explanation, wondering how any of this could be his fault. Then the blonde reveals that the other was just pretending to be his nice friend, while betraying and drifting away. He believes that he was nothing more than a disgusting moth to Ma Jian, who was a butterfly loved by everyone. Gunmin shares that when he realized this, each day became harder for him. But to his delight, the person who made him feel this way, at least in his mind, managed to ruin his own life all on his own. He recalls being extremely happy when he saw the news that Ma Jian had killed 7 people. He starts laughing, saying it seemed like karma, which enrages Inmate 3397, unable to believe that Gunmin was blaming him for everything that happened. In any case, the blonde says that none of that matters anymore. His companions show up and hold Ma Jian while he says that his life is going to end. The companions laugh, saying they knew their leader wasn't normal the moment he overpowered the supervisor. But that wasn't all Gunmin had planned. He wanted to lock his friend in a cabinet once more, to taxidermy him like an insect. Seeing the cabinet, Ma Jian knew what was coming and panicked, trying to escape the guys holding him. But he couldn't avoid being shoved inside. While the blonde kept repeating that it was all his fault, Ma Jian tries to act tough, saying he won't fall for the same trick twice. But this time, he wasn't alone in there, and he soon realized that the lunatic gunman had placed hundreds of his beloved insects inside with him. Outside, that maniac asks if Jian liked the surprise, but since he hears nothing from inside, he loses some of his enthusiasm, wondering if the other wasn't responding because he was using all his strength to hold himself together inside. Even the henchmen are impressed that the inmate is managing to endure being in such a place. One of them asks if Gunmin had felt sorry for that murderer, but the lunatic retorts that it was nonsense, even making the henchman admit that he was insane. For Gunmin, it had only just begun. He wanted to make Ma Jian scream in there until his throat exploded. Suddenly, the MC appears in their midst, questioning what the blonde was planning to do. The inmates are surprised, not having noticed the guy sneaking up behind them. Grabbing the first one by the shoulder, the MC asks if that was how the blonde planned to make his friend scream. Angry at seeing his buddy get caught so easily, another henchman runs at Ji-young, trying to hit him, but all he gets is a kick to the face. Seeing how 2 of his companions fell so easily, Gunmin and the remaining henchmen are in shock. From inside the cabinet, Ma Jian hears the MC saying that he will repay his debt to him now. In Cha Ju-young's cell, one of the inmates asks where Ma Jian is, and another says that a supervisor called him to the carpentry room. The MC overhears them saying that the inmate was called to help clean the room, which seemed very strange given the time. Sensing that something was wrong, Cha Ji-young stands up. He calls for a guard who was passing by in front of the cell. Seeing that it was the warden's protege calling him again, the guard questions what he wants this time. The inmates get all excited, thinking they're going to get food again. But instead, the MC tells the guard to open the door. This shocks the inmates. No one would have expected a prisoner to ask for such a thing. Even the guard can't believe what he just heard. Back in the carpentry room, the MC is telling Ma Jian that he will pay off his debt with what he's about to do to Gunmin, who has already had most of his comrades defeated. The remaining big guy asks if he is Cha Ju-young, the man causing a big stir in the prison lately. Knowing this instantly changes Gunmin's posture. He says he wasn't sure when he saw the MC with Ma Jian earlier, but now he understands everything. Asking if the two are close, Inmate 3397 listens to this with apprehension from inside the closet. The blonde guy starts saying that Ma Jian had a very reliable friend. Sneering, he says he wishes he had a friend like that, and the big guy laughs, sensing the other's rude tone. The big guy reveals that he thinks the MC is very loyal, which is why he likes him. He moves toward the MC to punch him, asking if he doesn't want to be friends with him too. But suddenly it's as if the guy has lost all his balance. The MC manages to flip the big guy almost upside down, slamming his head into the ground. Looking at the guy lying on the ground, he says he'd rather die than be his friend. Next in line for a beating is the blonde guy, who's already trembling all over. But first, the MC questions why he did what he did, claiming that what he did crossed the line. Gunman then shows his insane side again, questioning if the MC is joking with him, talking about limits. According to him, thanks to the traitor Ma Jian, he suffered a lot, as if the other had pretended to be his childhood friend, while plotting behind his back, dragging him down, and biting him like a snake. The blonde guy warns that the MC should be careful when he's with that friend. At that moment, the big guy who wasn't defeated appears right behind Cha Ju-young. Grabbing the MC by the neck, he says he wasn't going down that easily. Squeezing his throat tighter, he says he was preparing for this moment. Facing them, Gunman encourages the guy to break the MC. The big guy asks if the MC has now changed his mind about being friends, This guy must really need some buddies. Inmate 7199 didn't want to get out of the grip that way, but noticing the guy's enormous hold, he had no other choice. It was better for the big guy to say goodbye to his finger. But before he can do what he plans, Gunman rushes towards him. With a fierce expression, he reminds him that he's also part of this. This makes the big guy praise him for being a great friend. The MC, who is fighting this unfair battle, is on the verge of running out of breath. Then a voice orders them to let go of Cha Ji-young. Ma Jian wrapped a chain around the guy's neck and orders him to release the MC before he breaks his neck. Without understanding how inmate 3397 ended up there, Gunman is shocked for a moment. He turns to the closet, trying to figure out when his opponent got out. Then he remembers that when the MC kicked one of his buddies into the closet, the lock must have broken. The blonde guy barely finishes the thought and takes a kick to the face from the MC. If Ma Jian had taken any longer, he wouldn't have held out. Despite the big guy complaining that his neck hurts a lot, inmate 3397 doesn't stop pulling, while the crazed blonde continues urging him to pull harder. The MC looks worried about what his colleague is doing. He warns that if the big guy keeps pulling the chain, he'll break his neck. If the guy doesn't relax and stop pulling, he won't survive. In his pitiful state, he finally stops pulling, and Ma Jian releases the chain, letting him fall face first to the ground. After having put in so much effort, he is clearly exhausted. But looking at Gunman, he knows it's not over yet. As soon as he starts walking toward him, the blonde guy starts begging him to wait. Playing the victim, he has the nerve to say it's Ma Jian's fault that all this happened, that it was all in self-defense, and he did nothing wrong. But just from inmate 3397's terrifying aura, it's clear he doesn't think so. The blonde guy gets so scared that he falls on his back. He even bows with his face pressed to the ground, saying he's sorry and still begging for forgiveness. Gunman grabs Ma Jian's feet, desperately claiming he must have lost his mind. He keeps begging, calling himself a stupid loser, and that this should just be seen as another mistake. But inmate 3397 denies it, saying he never thought of Gunman that way. The blonde guy continues sweating in fear, not understanding. Then Ma Jian says that Gunman's selfish illusion has already ruined his life, and there's no changing that. After killing 7, he's already decided what he's going to do with his little friend. Walking past him, Ma Jian reveals that he doesn't hate him that much anymore, because he knows they were friends. Hearing this leaves Gunman expressionless, remembering their childhood together. It was absurd. Ma Jian was nothing more than a naive fool to him. And just as he starts thinking about what he's going to do to him, a foot approaches his head. The blonde guy takes a massive beating, leaving him sprawled on the ground. The MC, responsible for it, says that now their debt is settled. Back in the cell, the MC catches Ma Jian's attention, questioning if the guy is an idiot, which already irritates him. Then the MC explains that even though the guy had killed 7 people, he was still scared of that weakling. But the other asserts it wasn't fear. After a moment of silence between the two, the MC says he understands that, even without knowing what issues the two have, from what he could observe, Ma Jian doesn't see the blonde guy as an enemy. The inmate says his colleague must be observant to have noticed such things. Still in the carpentry room, the wounded MC asks why he hasn't left yet. To the MC's surprise, Ma Jian thanks him, and the MC smiles at him, playing dumb. Then something unexpected happens. A guy passes by him incredibly fast and heads straight for Gunman, who is lying on the ground. Cha Ji-young looks at the guy, wondering who he could be. Inmate 2163 is asking why Gunman left the cell without permission, which scared him a lot. But of course, the blonde guy isn't in any condition to respond right now. The guy then punches him, yelling that there was a cockroach in the cell. He keeps hitting him, saying there was no one there to catch the cockroach, and he thought he was going to die of fear. The MC and Ma Jian just watched the crazy attitude of the guy who just walked in. The guy gets irritated because blood splattered on his face. He starts cleaning himself, worried about germs and saying he hates getting dirty. Then, he grabs the MC by the shirt, but instead of attacking him, he starts wiping his face with it, asking if his face is clean now. The MC doesn't know how to react, and just stares at the lunatic. He tells the guy that his face is still really dirty. The guy's reaction leaves Ma Jian petrified. He charges at the MC, yelling if he looks dirty. Then a guard shows up, saying that if the job is done, he should return to his cell. Noticing there are more people there, the man asks what they were doing in that place. At that moment, the crazy guy focuses on Cha Ji-young's number and keeps repeating it non-stop. After all of this, the inmates are enjoying their free time, basking in the sun. Then the MC asks what's going on, as all the inmates from his cell are sitting around him. Gu Naomin responds that they are doing this because there are rumors spreading that the MC is really strong. And indeed, several inmates are commenting that the MC broke a guy's arm and beat up the cell's boss. If they stay close to him, no inmate will risk picking a fight with them. The MC shows that they can do whatever they want as long as they don't bother him, as he has things to do. A blue dragon embroidered with red flowers, also known as the Red Flower Dragon. The MC watches the other inmates, needing to figure out which of them has this tattoo. He wonders where the lackeys of that cursed organization might be. Seeing this, Namin asks what the MC is doing, and he explains that he's looking for something. This gets the inmate excited, wanting to know what, as he claims to be known for obtaining information. Breaking his calm expression, Cha Ji-young reveals that he's looking for a filthy tattoo. In the late afternoon, the inmates see on the news that juvenile gangs are losing control, extorting money and goods. While the news speaks of violent acts, the MC finds it all ridiculous. To him, these juvenile thugs should rot in prison for the next 1,000 years. Only after saying this does he realize that the place he's in is full of these delinquents. One of the inmates comments that not everyone there is bad, and says he'll tell how he ended up there. He tells of a legendary teppanyaki shop in his neighborhood some time ago. He was a regular customer, and the flavor was incredible, until something happened. A congressman's son, relying solely on his father's influence, showed up. He ordered the famous teppanyaki from the shop, but as soon as he started eating, he got angry that it was made of rice cakes. So the idiot started destroying the entire shop because he wanted the teppanyaki to be made of wheat. When he was about to destroy a picture frame, the inmate stepped in and stopped him, claiming to be the leader of the teppanyaki enthusiasts. The fight ended with the inmate's triumphant victory, and he became the hero of the shop, according to his story. But since the guy was the son of someone important, he used his father's influence, and the guy ended up in that prison. Even so, he triumphantly says he regrets nothing, though the other inmates claim it's all a lie. They laugh, saying Namin is a big liar. Apparently, he'd been caught lying in his previous cell, and it didn't end well, but he still hasn't learned his lesson. The MC stays silent, listening as Namin defends that his stories are based on real events. Then he says it didn't seem like the guy was lying, even surprising the inmate with that statement. Using an analogy, he explains that aphids give sugar to ants, and in exchange, the ants protect them. To Namin, this was very similar to his relationship with the bullies. He always saw himself as the aphid that the bullies protected, and he's sure the real boss of that cell is Cha Ji-young. Luckily for him, the leader seemed to like him. He thought that if he could become the leader's right-hand man, his life would become much easier. Finally, the spring of his life would arrive. Namin laughed as he thought about this while tending the prison garden. Distracted, he didn't even realize he'd thrown dirt into someone's face, someone he definitely shouldn't have. The guy kneels behind him, and only then does the inmate realize something is wrong. With a frightening look, the inmate asks why Namin did that, stating that it stinks. Seeing that inmate leaves Namin in a state of panic. He remembers being beaten badly by someone who said it was due to his lies and that they would clean his dirty mouth. Namin already knew that guy and definitely wished he hadn't met him again. It was the boss from his old cell, a real lunatic who screams that his face is full of bacteria, as if it were rotting. Wondering why that lunatic was there, inmate 8671 apologizes, trying to avoid getting beaten up. With a terrifying look, the guy asks if Namin is going to clean up the mess he made. Terrified and trying his best not to get hit, he says he'll clean it all up. Then the inmate grabs a spray bottle, which definitely didn't have water in it, and sprays it in Namin's face, saying he's going to clean him first. The liquid immediately starts burning his eyes, and he screams in desperation. Then the bully reveals he wanted to ask him something. With the number well memorized, he just says 7199, the MC's identification number. Once again, he keeps repeating the number over and over, until he asks if the two are in the same cell. Only then does Namin remember that this was Cha Ji-young's number. Then the bully starts saying that the MC called him dirty and keeps repeating it. Even though he tried so hard to stay clean, inmate 8671 even agrees with him. So the bully says they should go together to show the MC how they clean and disinfect. And while saying this, he unzips his jumpsuit, revealing a dragon tattoo. Unaware of any of this, Cha Ji-young is doing push-ups in his cell. He's doing this while thinking about where those damn people are, referring to the guys with the dragon tattoo, unaware that one is coming after him. At that moment, Namin shows up, praising his muscles. He offers him some grape juice for his hard work, which even the MC finds suspicious. But either way, he accepts the drink. Before drinking it, he looks at the cup with purple liquid, which is definitely not juice. Then he asks who gave this pesticide to Namin. In his old cell, the inmates had held him down and put a funnel in his mouth, while the leader asked why he had done that. The big guy who ran the cell was furious, saying it was due to inmate 8671's lies that he got so dirty. He said he was going to clean Namin's dirty mouth, holding a bottle of cleaning product, wanting to disinfect him. Afterward, the bully panicked, not knowing what to do next. That first cell Namin was in was a true hell, and after being forced to drink that stuff, he was foaming at the mouth. The guy didn't even care about what he did to his cellmate. He only cared about the dirty floor, that demon. Back in the present, Cha Ji-young is questioning his colleague. He wants to know who gave him the insecticide. Cornered, Namin invents that he bought the product. Seeing the scene, the other inmates start commenting that everything seems quite suspicious. The MC repeats the question, wanting to know why the inmate gave it to him. Feeling cornered, Namin starts to wonder if Ju-young is beginning to suspect him as well, which wasn't surprising given the reputation he had as a liar. Unexpectedly, the MC raises the cup and starts drinking what Namin offered. Namin is stunned. He didn't expect this to actually happen. Wiping his mouth with his hand, Cha Ju-young says the drink was good and thanks his colleague. He then steps back as if nothing happened, commenting that the next day is the day for group cleaning. If Namin had known he would drink it right away, he would have used juice instead of testing with water. Remembering the leader of his cell's attitude towards him, he begins to reflect on his actions. That same night, while the other inmates were preparing to sleep, the MC was drawing a dragon tattoo design. Trying to seize the opportunity, Namin compliments the drawing, asking what it was about. He thought he couldn't just go around saying he drugged the MC, who was explaining the drawing. The inmate wanted to analyze Ju-young to find a way to drug him without anyone knowing. Staring at him, he felt he needed to find a way to do that. So the MC asks if he wanted to say something, since he seemed strange. But Namin covers up and says only that he was curious about something. He wanted to know why the MC trusted him. Given his reputation, Ju-young should be more cautious about that. But for the MC, if he was able to deceive others, it meant he was smart. Someone that smart wouldn't be his enemy with stupid lies. So he stands up, saying he's going to turn off the lights and suggests that inmate 8671 also go to sleep. At that moment, something catches Namin's attention. It was the drawing Cha Ju-young had made earlier. The next day, the guards are telling the inmates to clean as much as they could because the Ministry of Justice would conduct an inspection. So everyone there is working hard to get the place in the best possible condition. In another corner of the prison, Namin is being reprimanded by the bully, who says he had promised to disinfect the MC. With a threatening look, he asks if the inmate had given up. But Namin responds that he spoke with the cell leader and that he was sorry for calling him dirty. He then even invents that Ju-young is introverted and asked him to apologize on his behalf. However, the big guy knows him well and knows he's lying. As punishment, he punches Namin in the stomach and concludes that he won't forgive either this poor guy or inmate 7199. Shouting that he won't forgive him, he delivers another blow to inmate 8671. Who was already on the ground, holding his head against the urinal with his foot. The bully knows what he's going to do. As if it were normal, he grabs a bottle of cleaning product, claiming he will have to disinfect both of them personally. Then he flushes the toilet while Namin tries to call for help. In that situation, he starts thinking that he might actually die like this. Then someone appears asking what he was doing in the bathroom. Such a dirty thing. Just touching that word makes the bully's eyes shine with hatred. To top it off, the MC says the guy is nothing but a damned filthy scum. Still stuck in the toilet, Namin asks, still happy that the MC is there, why he took so long. A little earlier, when Cha Ji-young was cleaning, Namin appeared saying he needed to tell him something. He reveals that he was threatened and that this person asked him to give pesticide to the MC. However, calling himself a man, he pours the product on the floor, claiming he would not betray a friend, that he would not give in to these threats. Namin says that even knowing this will have terrible consequences, he refuses to do it. And there's one more thing. About the dragon tattoo the MC had drawn earlier. The inmate claims he had seen a tattoo like that on the guy who threatened him. Now he attracted Ju-young. Namin reflects that just as the MC had referred to him earlier, he was indeed a smart guy. Back in the bathroom, Ju-young starts shaking his hand, saying he accidentally got it wet, which triggers the bully's cleaning paranoia. So he approaches, wiping his hand on the guy's overalls, starting to curse the MC, feeling infested with germs and frothing at the mouth from so much hatred. The bully starts shouting that he will disinfect him entirely, but the MC grabs him by the collar. He flips him upside down and slams his head against the floor. Seeing the dragon tattoo on his chest, Cha Ji-young is sure he found the right guy. On top of the bully, he asks if he was the one who threatened Namin to have him killed. Watching all this without having been able to get up yet, Namin thinks he was very lucky, because thanks to what happened, the MC is feeling free from guilt to beat this guy up. Some time ago, there was a rising star in martial arts. His signature move was grabbing the opponent by the abdomen and squeezing as if he were going to burst them. But in reality, that was a dirty tactic to block the opponent's hands, so they couldn't forfeit the fight. But after a certain day, no one ever saw that move again, because ironically, the star known for playing dirty had developed a terrible weakness for a fighter: germophobia. Back in the bathroom, the MC was over the bully, calling him a germaphobe. The MC wanted him to say everything he knew about the celestial dragon, but the guy kept saying that the bathroom was covered in germs. Then he gets up to attack Ju-young, shouting that his skin was rotting. He screams the names of various germs while attacking, but the MC is unfazed and defends himself easily, saying that even in a situation like that, he was worried about this kind of thing. From a corner, Namin watches the fight, excitedly thinking he was right to stay by the MC's side. Cha Ji-young goes back on top of the bully, saying he doesn't seem to understand. It's not like he enjoys this either, but he'll have to use shock therapy to make the guy talk. Then he moves close to the big guy's face, with some kind of wet wipes in his hands. This makes the other remember his time as a fighter, feeling bothered by the dirt and wanting to wash himself. But as soon as he opens his locker door, a bunch of junk falls out. The fighter screams that it's all trash and a guy appears behind him. Without waiting for the attack, he is easily thrown to the ground. His attacker says he heard that his germophobia was so strong that he couldn't even grab opponents. And since he's still lying on the ground, that must be true. The guy says he was mocked a lot after vomiting in the arena when they fought, calling the germaphobe human trash. He wants to shove a piece of garbage into the bully's mouth. This sends him into a panic, that dirty thing making contact with him. Then his opponent moves very quickly, just like what's happening with the MC at that moment. Despite all his disgust, the inmate manages to grab the MC and pin his arms like he used to do in his fighting days. For this guy, anyone who leaves him dirty deserves to die in the worst possible way. The pain of having his limbs squeezed is excruciating, and the other inmate assures him he's going to squeeze him until his guts explode. The MC is completely trapped, with no way to escape this guy. Namin, who is still watching the two, is starting to panic. Inside the bathroom stall, he tries to decide if he should help Ji-young, but looking at the two, he's in shock. The MC says this reminds him of the old days. Being that man's son, he never received a hug from his father, but when he was taught to fight, he was embraced with enough force to break his bones. Turning the fight by throwing the bully backward, Ji-young says that memory disgusted him, but it was thanks to it that he learned to fight on dirty ground, and also to urinate in this kind of place. The pressure the MC applies causes intense pain in the inmate's back. He can barely endure the fight, so Ji-young questions whether he's the one who's going to burst, or if his opponent's spine will break first. And it's the spine that can't hold out, causing the bully to scream in pain. Only then does he release the MC from his grip. Ji-young asks if he let go to show that he's giving up, but unfortunately, he never learned those rules. Now it's clear in the inmate's eyes that he knows he stands no chance. While the other prisoners continue to clean meticulously. In the men's bathroom, the bully has a funnel in his mouth, just like he did with Namin before. Now the inmate has the chance to get his revenge. Namin warns the MC that the inmate is still resisting, saying they'll have to resort to other means. The MC begins to open his clothes, revealing that he didn't want to do this. Among all the things they could do in that place, this was definitely the most shocking of all. While the two prepare for revenge, Namim still mocks the bully, telling him to open his mouth wide because lemon juice is coming. The protagonist wonders what it will taste like, while the fool just gets more desperate. After enjoying the free juice, they ask him to cooperate with the information. The MC tells him to say everything he knows about the heavenly dragon. Then we see a tattoo artist saying that even though he's a germaphobe, he doesn't need to worry. Everything there is sterilized. She is tattooing the dragon on him and asks if he knows why the organization hires trash like him. The dragon represents power, and the flower symbolizes vitality. But no matter how beautiful the flower is, one day it will wither. That's why the dragon is always looking for new seeds. And the young, unlike adults, are full of potential to grow. Depending on the environment and experiences they go through, they can grow tremendously. So they recruit this kind of people to cultivate them. And the seeds that grow this way blossom more beautifully than those of the heavenly dragon. The bully says that's all he knows since he's a low-ranking member, and asks to be let go now. But memories of when the protagonist's father did the same to him fill his head. He had been training him since he was a child to make him bloom faster. Namin calls out to Ji-young, who seems lost in thought. The bully wants to know why his enemy is so interested in the organization, and asks if he wants to join the organization too, and if he does, he can recommend him to the higher-ups. But the protagonist's response is a bit aggressive. The desperate guy says he's already told him everything he knows, but Ji-young tells him to shut up, and that this punch is just because he pissed him off. Guys, the video is over. I just wanted to ask for your attention real quick. For those who aren't subscribed, please subscribe and leave a like, it helps a lot.